The band's name is the Odd Dogs. And we have Billy Hulting on percussion, Jeff Miley on guitar, myself, Steve Billman on bass, Ralph Humphrey on drums, and Andy Suzuki on saxophone, iwi, and keyboards. The only way I can describe it is progressive jazz, because it has elements of progressive music, but it's not progressive rock. We're more on the jazz side. And there are elements of fusion in there, but it really is hard to label. You know, there's so many layers of so many different styles and feels that it really is hard to label it. We've kind of all known each other for a long time, and it was sort of just started with me asking Jeff, hey Jeff, do you want to write some songs together? And this was like 2012. And he said, yeah, and that's how it started. We had no plans for anything, just see what we could come up with. So the next step was Ralph. We went to Ralph, and the three of us work at a music school, Los Angeles College of Music, so we're kind of connected and been playing together for a long time anyway. And so it's like, let's connect with Ralph and see how these sound. It started to sound good. And as the tunes unfolded, we knew that we needed to expand it, because it wasn't going to just be a trio. So Andy, who was living in Europe at the time, sent me a lovely email, or sent a bunch of people an email saying, hey, I'm coming back to the States. Ding! Light went off. It's like, okay, I'm going to ask Andy, because he's a multi-instrumentalist and brilliant. He's great. So it's like, hey, Andy, you want to try these tunes? Yeah, let's do it.
No, actually, I said no.
But we forced him.
My arm.
I chased him down for sure.
Yeah.
And I had always had Billy in my mind, because Billy's one of the greatest percussion players, and I love the way he plays. And it just seemed like after we got Andy there, it's like something's still missing. And so Billy was the next piece, and now it's complete.
We want the music to be challenging, but to not sound like we're working hard, and these guys can do that. Like, we still want it to be fun to listen to and musical, but also interesting. So,
little known fact, Ralph sleeps in 17.
yes.
He does. He actually does. But it's sort of like we don't try to necessarily write in the odd times.
It just happens.
When Jeff and I got together, that's just what was coming out. I've been into the odd time music since I was a kid. And so as we were writing, it's just like, it's funny, the question I always ask Jeff, what time signature is this in? Because I'll just play something, and he'll, he's tapping it out. Oh, it's 13 or whatever. Yeah. It just happens. So we're not trying necessarily to write in odd times. That's just what comes out.
That's what we hear.
It's what we hear.
Yeah.
So
one of the fun things about playing this band is you look at the charts and it looks just nightmarish. Some of the charts are, but it doesn't sound like that. So it's accessible still to people. Yeah. They don't have to have higher math to be able to, follow along with the band.
Yeah.
We all play in other bands. For me, I like diversity. I like challenge. Most recently, I sat in with a group of musicians who used to be former Mothers of Invention members, and they did a couple nights at the Big Potato, and they asked me to sit in because the Vaultmeister, who was also the drummer in that band, Joe Travers, has dug deep into the vault of Frank Zappa and pulled out a 1973 concert in Chicago on Halloween. And it was the band that I was in that Chester Thompson joined the band, and Napoleon Murphy Brock also joined that band. And it was our first tour. And I played the other night, sat in with them, and it was fun to resurrect some of the stuff I used to play years and years ago. And it's funny, this band is similar in the fact that the music is so strong that you never forget it. You may struggle playing it, but you don't forget the notes, and you don't forget the time, and you don't forget the rhythm. So, that I hold Frank in high esteem because he writes such strong music, and I think this band is is kind of like that, where the music is strong, so it does communicate with the audience.
I've seen that Zappa Halloween concert. We watched it on the bus years ago.
Did you really?
It's amazing. I was more impressed with that than any of the other videos I'd seen. Wow. I just played with the Wrecking Crew the other night. It's all the studio musicians for back in the 60s and 70s. And that was a blast.
Wow.
Yeah.
The new album is called Beneath the Surface, and we released it in October. And really proud of it.
I think with any band that is serious about making music, we're going to continue making new music. And because each of us is a writer, and each of us has written, I think there's plenty to draw from. But the challenging thing is still to play this music. It's every time I play it, it's like, wow, this is so difficult. Still, you just can't relax too much with it. You've got to really focus and pay attention and just try to make it flow as best as you can.
To tell people about what our shows are going to be like is sort of, don't expect one thing. It's not going to be, it'll be, some of it'll be progressive rock, but I think, somebody who likes jazz, likes improvising, likes harmony in a certain type of, chord progressions, that they're going to be happy. There's something kind of for everybody, some rhythmic stuff, definitely harmonic stuff, and and the melodies are nice. This music, which, there's a lot of fusion out there, but in many ways, I don't think they're as melodic sometimes because, it tends to be focused on, the writing's focused on rhytm or a one chord vamp or something like that. But in this case, in this band, there's a lot of harmony going on, which, is something I would tell people.
I think there's a lot to grab onto as a listener. Most people relate to melody, and there's a lot of melody in the music, and then there's rhythm to that melody, and sometimes it can be catchy, maybe not totally understood, but still it's gonna be something interesting.
What I like to tell my friends that ask me about the show is, for musicians, I tell them that this is an incredibly musical band and very technical, and you get into some of the details, but my non-music friends, I say, you probably don't even know this kind of music exists. It's very different. Right. It's very melodic. It's all incredibly musical. And, if you have an open mind, you'll really love the band.
One of the things that we do with the music is you can sing the melodies. They might be in 13, right? But melodically, you can sing the melodies. And I think that's what really will grab people who aren't musicians. We're going to take you on a journey, for sure.
So the album is on Amazon, iTunes, Amazon Music, CD Baby, Spotify, YouTube Music, all those places. Shows, you can just go, the easiest way to find out is just on Facebook. You just search The Odd Dogs, our page will come up, and we list everything there, wherever we're going next. All right.
Thank you.
Bye,
guys.
Thanks.